Well, Watson, we are at the scene of the Polly Nichols murder. Imagine the victim lying at the spot where she was found and try to discern all of the clues we can. Watson, you are a writer. I am therefore entrusting you with our deduction board. It will help us to establish certain facts.
Understood, Holmes.
Let's look at this poor woman more closely. A small pool of blood, 6 inches in diameter. The throat was slit from left to right. There are 2 incisions. The tongue is swollen. There's a bruise on the left cheek. There's a bruise at the level of the right maxilla. The body was lying on its back, legs straight and slightly apart. The skirt had been lifted up to the middle of the body. The left hand was touching the barn door. The body was still warm. Let's reread the preliminary report for the details on the wounds inflicted upon this poor woman. There is a black bonnet near the left hand. No marks on the ground. The ground is muddy. No marks on the ground. The ground is muddy. No signs of blood. There is only one streetlight lit on this street, Watson, and this spot is particularly poorly lit.
This spot is deserted, Holmes. The prostitutes only come here to exercise.
Well, Watson, we have found all of the possible clues, I think. We will now attempt to recreate the scene of the murder. Come closer, Watson. I have to make you up.
You are joking, Holmes? I feel ridiculous, Holmes.
Now, Watson, come and stand here in front of me. You shall play the role of the poor woman and I shall play that of the murderer. Let's try to reconstruct the facts to ensure the final result corresponds indisputably to the way that Polly Nichols was killed. The murderer had enough room to inflict the wounds to the neck, and these wounds suggest the left hand was used. Yes, it's quite possible the events occurred like this. My dear Watson, now that we have found all of our clues, nothing remains but to subject them to our most likely hypotheses in order to deduce the facts. The victim was most probably dead before being laid down. Once the heart stopped, gravity drained the body slowly, not in a heavy spurt that would have stained half the street.
Thank you, Holmes. I understand why you told me not to change clothes. Do you realize that our behavior didn't alarm anyone?
The victim's ordeal was even more discreet. By acting in silence, we have confirmed something. The crime definitely took place here. The victim and her murderer were able to come here without making any noise, and afterwards the murder took place without the slightest cry being uttered. Come, Watson, let's go home. We have spent far too long in this sinister alley.